Turn to glory. We can finally say that. Maybe we should still say mediocrity, but I guess we got the 6 wins.
I think this is the last podcast. We've made it. We've returned.
Is this glory? This is glory. This is what glory feels like.
We stormed the field, man.
Oh, Dak was right. I will say before we talk football, I just want to say best weekend in Husker sports, ?
Yeah.
Ooh.
In our lifetime, we can
in our
remember.
lifetime, I could probably agree with that.
Yep.
Because you have to think national titles are always going to be, but that's not on a weekend, I guess.
And also was the last national title even in our lifetime?
Volleyball.
Yeah, just everything complete together. Starting Friday night and Friday, I guess, with the men's basketball team kicking.
If only the women, if the women could have just locked it up. I know they were figuring it out without Potts, but
there's room for improvement, is what we're saying. There can be a better weekend. There can be a better weekend. Yep. But it was pretty great overall. And we'll touch on the basketball and volleyball games here at the end. Can we all just start here at the top and just relax our shoulders and just take a deep breath and just
the monkey's off the back, Steve Young
time, and just breathe, everyone. It's over. The drought of 8 years is over. I got up to the tailgate, had some stuff earlier in the day, but got up to the tailgate to watch just in time for the start of the fourth quarter, right before it. And Dak was hugging me already, end of the third quarter, thinking that we did it. And he was saying we too. Going to a bowl game, I'm like, there is a whole quarter left. And
I was talking about the game later.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, just get that out of the way. Say what you need to say about Oklahoma, because I don't want to talk about it again.
I called it right from the jump. I said their defense is going to control Jalen Milroe. Yeah, that's it. I basically called that game how it's going to go.
Thanks. He said about as much about it as you did, as much as you probably remember watching it. So, yeah, congrats to Oklahoma. All your Boomer Sooners are paying off. So, yeah, Nebraska pulls it off. We snap the bowl game drought. We snap Wisconsin's 10-game winning streak. We take the Freedom Trophy for the first time since its existence. It's pretty great. It's pretty good feeling.
It's good.
And I will say, celebrate it and enjoy it. It is unprecedented in our adulting lives. Kind of since we've been in college, it's unprecedented times making a bowl game. So with all that came the field storming. Dak, congrats on correctly predicting that. It came with, at the tailgate, champagne popping and spraying for us. It came with all of that. And I think the celebrating, and you saw maybe some things on Twitter too. While, we just beat a sub 500 team to go bowling, it's kind of a little more of a laughable, we did it. Let's enjoy this because it's been so bad and so horrible the last few years, not just the Husker fans, but nationally too. So it was more of it was a celebration, right? But it wasn't I'm going to say a sarcastic celebration, but it kind of was. That makes sense.
In a way.
We were enjoying it because, holy cow, we finally did it. Relief is the word that we're relieved. It's a relief celebration.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine. Like I said, it's been 8 years. I'm thrilled that I don't have to listen to another broadcast, listen to them be like, this program hasn't been to a bowl game. I don't know what they're going to talk about during Nebraska games, maybe the one-score losses, but the bowl game was oh my gosh, I had to hear Jake Butt say something about not going to a bowl game in this historic program in this slump. And I was,
and you said it still doesn't count as a one-score win, and we can't add it to that chart in the win category. So that can still come and be improved, obviously. But you're right. The bowl conversation of we can't get to a bowl game, which every year it just feels like, and it was an eternity ago that you add to it. We can cross that off our list.
Definitely helps us play looser next week. Yeah, I think it's just that hump. Like, I think all Husker fans know, like, this isn't the expectation, but this was the first step to get over, the first hurdle, and we did it. It feels good. And then the basketball game on Friday. Wow, what a freaking moment! And then the volleyball game after that. And Colorado lost.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cherry on top.
It was not only made a bowl game, but the way you did it, scoring 45 points, like
The offense looked great.
yeah, it looks. I saw a tweet before this from a USC fan saying if Dana Holgorsen was there a week before the USC game, they would have won that one. I think so too. Like that just shows you how bad Satterfield actually was. Like how this guy can come in and turn your offense a complete 180 around like that in a week and a week and a half or something like that. It's I don't know.
Can we have a Dana Holgorsen appreciation segment here?
Yeah.
And what he has done, like you said, in such a short period of time. I guess I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. All we knew was it couldn't get worse, and obviously it didn't. But we knew that there was a ceiling. It could have got much, much better. And I'm not saying everything's perfect and our offense is fixed. I think that's one of the more important things that you have to keep in perspective after wins, which we don't do a lot. But it's easy to critique and nitpick and find little things after losses. You got to do the same thing after wins. So everything's not perfect, right? And we'll point out some maybe the little things on offense, but it's so much better. Like it's just so much fresher. It looks like we're playing free. You can't predict what we're trying to do based on how we line up and the different guys that are getting the balls. The motion, and I'll say it. I don't know what tweaks and adjustments were made. Our offensive line just kicked Wisconsin's ass up front.
Wisconsin was missing their best defensive player, and they're lowest in the Big Ten in tackles for losses. So, I mean, it wasn't like we're playing any dominant game. But, yeah, you're right. The offensive line didn't give up a sack. Dylan had plenty of time to throw.
I mean, to put up 44
on
Wisconsin. And the Wisconsin's not a bad defense. I wouldn't say they're – I think I
average. I would say they're average.
Yeah.
And some people might even call them a little above average. But Wisconsin, too, I will say, is not like it's not the typical Wisconsin teams that we've played. Now, I really don't care about that because they beat us the last 10 years, regardless of who they've been.
Right.
So it's still a tough team, right? But they're not the Wisconsin that we've been used to just getting ran on for 400 yards a game. They still had some success, though. Some of the things they did. We played so much better. We played so much better. Just top start to finish. As far as guys making plays, and Rule has made that comment again post game. Guys making plays when they need to make plays, and not just making a 4-yard run, but actually like blowing holes up. And
Emmett Johnson like made plays untackable. I mean, he looked incredible.
113 rushing yards and added another 80 something through the air and receiving. Like, wow, Dowdell, he's got his role. They complemented each other very well. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns, average over 4 yards a carry. It's our run game is what really I thought finally got established again and opened up. But our pass game was there too. Like it was just a good compliment. What Dana knows from an offensive coach, something that Satterfield didn't have, never has. Dak. Were we too late? Like, why didn't we make this? Not the whole Dana thing, but why did you said it? You didn't like Satterfield. You said it.
No, I said it from the jump. I didn't think there's a reason why Dana took this job. Like, he's sitting there retired basically, and he took this job because he's sitting back there looking at he probably looked at Nebraska and be like, this is such an easy fix. Like, you come in with a good quarterback. I wouldn't say great year.
Line and
Yeah,
athletes.
like he's probably sitting there like, this is so easy. Like, maybe for the 20th straight time we don't do a tight end screen here. Like, I don't know. I think Rule probably called him as like, hey, we need some help on offense. And he's like, yep, I got you. After watching all the tape and stuff, he's like, this is going to be 1 week fix. I can come in and do it. Now, what do you think Satterfield's sitting there thinking like?
I hope I'm still a tight ends coach next
Yeah.
year.
You think him and Dana are talking in the locker room afterwards? Like,
my thought with Satterfield is him and Rule are pretty damn good friends.
yeah.
And so with
probably
his
told him it's not
situation,
gonna work
I think it'll be very easy just to say, hey, and I don't know this for sure. I don't know contracts and the language and all that's in Satterfield's OC contract. I'm sure there was stuff they had to do this year even. Because, yeah, he's not unemployed. He's not fired from his position. He's still getting paid. I'm not sure what that amount is. As a restructure his contract, right? Like, I would venture to guess that the contract stipulates that he's the offensive coordinator to get his full salary. So if he is demoted, right, to his tight ends coach position, which I think he can still do a good job at. Like, it's hard to – the position coaches don't get talked about a lot because you won't, and we never will unless practices are open. The detailed work and techniques and things that they know and do in practice. We won't know that. He can do a good job at that. He clearly, though, wasn't very functional as the offensive coordinator. And I think he'll still be around. I really do.
I think so too.
In a restructured contract role. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's okay.
The thing about it is, though, looking back on the season, if Dana was your OC, how many of these games did you have won? Illinois, you had a good offensive game, so I don't know about that one. But Ohio State, you would have beat. Indiana, you won of. It just.
You're right. I mean, that we talked about Rule in the whether it's blinders or whatever it is, the mistakes that he's made. I mean, we said that could have been one big thing. Looking back on it, like why did we waste the first half of the year? If this could have happened sooner. The other side of that is that maybe Dana wasn't ready, and he hinted at that. And and when he had his press conference last week, so maybe he wasn't ready, and that makes total sense. But it makes you wonder, like, God damn it, why didn't we do this sooner? But
revisionist history, there's no guarantee we would have won those games. It's not, again, one game. Like, I'm not going to go nuts. I don't think we're going to put up 40. We're going to average 45 points a game this year.
We are very excited now
Yeah,
because
I agree.
of everything that's happened. And probably more so because of the fact that we get to go to a bowl game. And it makes things very easy to justify now of why things are going the way they are. Rule and staff in the leadership, I think of it as a long process. And I know that word is very annoying to hear, especially when you see coaches are getting immediate results at other places, which is what we've talked about the past 2 or 3 weeks. And nobody wanted to talk about what the season would have looked like if it would have ended 5-7. But now that we won, it does. I think a lot of people are just saying, "Oh, everything's good again." I just think we have to just enjoy it, but let's move on and let's get to the next. Storm the field, great, awesome. Like,
be careful.
Awesome.
But we could come out and lose to Iowa, and then
in Austin, you mentioned play loose Friday.
Yes,
Iowa. There's the other way of viewing it as maybe we just won't care about the game because our internal goal. I'm not saying this is what it's going to happen, but our internal goal is achieved. Like, we really don't care about the Iowa game because we're done. Like, the box is checked, and we're going to a bowl game regardless. If that happens, that is very, very red flag-y for this program for the future. Like, very red flaggy as far as just goals and growth. Development from the team and the program, that's not a good sign. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it will, but it's going to tell us a lot on Friday what we get coming off of because of its significance, one of the bigger wins that we've had as a football program here in quite some time.
Do you have our preseason rank of the Wisconsin game? I'm curious.
I'm trying to think
I don't remember.
I mean, we weren't expecting.
No, we thought we were going to get the 6th win much before this game.
Yeah.
I will say, like, there were a couple things on offense that there was one thing where I was like, if we lost this game, there were things that happened that because we won, we don't care about. But, like, there was that one drive when we were down in the red zone and we threw it twice when we were up. And it's like, why are we not running the ball here? It was like 2nd and 6, and we threw the ball twice, and the clock stopped, and we ended up kicking the field goal. And it was one of those moments where I was like, why are we not running the ball? I don't know how to describe it.
That's one of the things, though, with the air raid is, like, he's not running a full air raid. You can definitely see some wrinkles of the air raid, though, in the offense. Like,
it's the concepts with the air raid. What happens when it comes to play calling, for the good and the bad? When it works, you're a genius. When it doesn't, you're an idiot.
Yes.
That's how it's always been, how it's always will be. It works. It worked on that play call. It doesn't work, and we lose the game, which we've been on that side a lot. We are wondering, what in the world, what are we doing? So to that point, that's where it does come back to a little bit. If you're going to call plays a certain way, you better know and understand that you have the guys to make those plays, and you're confident in them to do that. You're not hoping and praying that, this is what I think is a good play, but crap, we don't really have a left guard to block it. So yeah, well, we'll just deal with it. No, I think Dana understands, and only for 3 weeks, understands what these players are capable of. And that's your job as a coach, is to put the players in a position to where they can perform their best. Like, that's your job.
Do you guys think Dylan's best ability as a passer is ability to throw a ball on the sideline or in the corner of the end zone? Because he freaking puts the ball like where a receiver can barely get a toe in bounds, and it's like the only guy who can catch it is the receiver. Because there was even the ones that got called back or we didn't quite complete, it was like perfectly placed.
I don't know about you guys, what you guys thought about this, but I thought he looked like early season Raiola. Like, he has confidence back. Like, he was throwing those what kind of no look passes, like he was early in the season. Like,
No look.
I thought I thought he looked like, let's say, UTEP or Colorado Raiola.
It's hard.
Looked like his old self.
It's hard to compare, I guess, games and opponents and all of that, but he did. He had probably his best game of the year. And Austin, I think that is one of his best.
It's uncanny
qualities. Like, he knows where to put the ball to where it's not going to hurt it's not going to get picked off, right? It's not either our receivers catching or nobody's catching. And we've seen that all year, even in games that he struggled. He still, I think, struggles a little bit of mobility. The other thing that he does, and he did it a couple of times here, he can move his arm angle like a lot of the really good quarterbacks can. Like, that's what makes him special. We've seen freshman moments of him, and we'll continue to see those a little bit here. I'm going to finish this year, probably into next year, but I think Dana is a very, 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 very strong mesh. Like, Dylan's a type of quarterback that he really loves in what he wants to do. And I think that only helps the whole situation, because when you have a guy that fits your system, you can really coach him exactly how you want him and make him really, really good. When you have someone you're not as familiar with, or let's say you throw a Lamar Jackson and Dana Holgorsen system, Dana's probably not going to quite know how to maximize Lamar Jackson's potential, because that's not exactly what he believes or what he thinks an offense should be surrounded by. So I do think that the future is very bright for the offense, but we have to continue to show results with it, because if it goes south, all of the negativity and the questioning and all of that is going to come right back up. It's going to be there. It's not like it's gone and fixed because we just put up 44 on Wisconsin. Like, that was awesome. That was great. But we have to continue to do that and build on it and move in that direction. Otherwise, it's going to continue to hurt, and we're going to get stagnant at 6 wins. And nobody wants that as a program.
I
He's the
love.
perfect quarterback for what Hank Holgerson wants to run.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I loved
just
it when we took the shot to the end zone and we missed it, and he immediately ran the exact same play again, and we missed it again. But it was like, all right, like it was there the first time. Might as well see if it's there again the second time. I really like that. I also like Emmett Johnson.
I think all this game and hopefully the next two games now, I hope it helps get recruits and players. I mean, you can't tell me that if you're watching this game as a wide receiver entering the portal or a high school recruit, that you don't want to be on the other end of Dylan Raiola. Like you would love that. You're going to eat that up.
Yep.
So I think the end of the year, like this, I know we don't want to jump forwards to the end of the year, but at the same time, don't mess up what we're doing now and from now to the end of the year. Don't get blown out by Iowa. Don't go play a bowl game and just get destroyed and look like complete trash because we got more practices. Let's put on an impressive run here to end the year, and that momentum is going to be huge for recruiting and getting players. Like Isaiah Nair and Jamal Banks, we've talked about them a lot this year. The two veteran wide receiver transfers that came in, they are solid 5 to 6 out of 10 Division I receivers for the Big Ten. They're solid, but they're not playmakers. They're not elite playmakers. So Corey Barney, as a freshman, he has that potential to get there.
Mm-hmm.
He's a playmaker and stuff. I wouldn't call him elite, but he's a playmaker right now. Other players are going to see this and go, I want to be a part of that. If this could have went south, and we don't need to say what that scenario is because it's not going to happen, but it could have got ugly.
Yeah.
So that's how big this game is. Just put that in perspective. And how, I guess, big the next couple of games are to keep it rolling and not just say, oh, well, that was a one-time fluke, which is what kind of people thought after all these recent games after the Ohio State game. Oh, that was a fluke that we hung with Ohio State.
We did not see the young receiver, the young athlete, which was revealed to be Quinn Clark, supposedly.
Yes.
We also did not see Thomas Fedoni.
Okay.
Buried.
I have that down. And here's my comment I wrote. Parents suck. And then I had Fedoni or whatever. I don't know. Did you guys see the post moving around?
I did not.
God, parents suck. And I don't even know if it's his parent, it has a relative or something. Basically, it was
someone with the last name Fedoni commented on a Husker Facebook posting saying, "Why is Thomas Fedoni supposedly your starting tight end, but not playing in the game or something like that?"
Basically said you
can watch and why.
Basically commented and said how rules ruined him and you destroyed a kid's mindset and love for the game. But I just basically went off on Fedoni not playing. Fedoni's had 2 snaps all game. Parents just suck. And I'll just say it. Society is getting worse and worse and worse in this. You see it coaching at the high school level. It's worse than it's ever been. Not so much the kids are still kids. It's the parents and how what they are instilling in their kids from a teamwork, team building mindset. It's so bad. It's not good at any level, and this is a perfect example of you're all these players are so happy and excited, and you want to stick out and try to make a stupid post and for your kid because you think that your kid's more important, and you're teaching them that it's all about me. That's all you're doing. And I'm not saying Fedoni condone that and appreciate. He probably is like, Mom, what the hell? But that's what society is. Their parents are so protective of their kids, and it's unfortunate that the lack of trust and respect that they have for their coaches and other players, right? That they play with, the teammates that are out there and enjoying it. So anyways, that was my comment there, is that parents just suck.
Fair.
Yeah. Fedoni shouldn't play. Like Dacky said, like if you watch the last couple of games, he can't move.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I don't think that rule in his career. I think injuries did. Like he's.
Yeah,
I remember him.
Like you're just not gonna have the same athleticism.
How many years has he been here? 2.
This is his 4th year, isn't it?
4. I remember a couple years ago he can move like he was quicker than shit. Like I don't know. I think injuries and Rule can see that too. Like you can't have him out there. It's kind of like Tommy Hill. The dude's injured. You can't have him out there either. Like he's gonna hurt your team.
Yeah.
I don't.
We won by 20 points. You know,
Yeah.
it's tough to argue with the. It's like, well, it is what it is. All right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the offense. Johnson was a stud.
There's one
last
more thing about the offense.
Go.
I think the main thing that Holgerson's changes, you are getting the running backs involved in the passing game a lot more. I
agree. It's showing up a lot. I mean, Emmett Johnson had 6 catches for 85 yards.
Yep. I think that's the main change he did.
It's also coming from a guy that all he does on college football video game is throw to his running backs. But
you know, we don't even talk about that.
It does. It's another added thing to our offense, another added element that keeps opposing teams guessing on what we can do. I thought Heinrich Harburg got involved a lot more too.
Yep. Yeah, I looked at the stats and I didn't realize he had 6 carries. I was like, wow.
He got a lot of red zone carries, and I don't know if they studied this, but like I'm a Saints fan, they're using him like Taysom Hill. Like Taysom Hill is not like he comes in like I would watch that. Like that's how you utilize a guy like that has that ability. Get him in the red zone. Like that's where he's going to be effective, and it opens up another element that teams can't stop when you're a little bit narrowed with the field that you can use when you get in the red zone as far as a passing game goes. Yeah, bring in some guy that has a little bit of power and run to him. So I thought that was very creative and smart as well. Yep. This game. Only other offensive comment that I had, and this is jumping back to Dana Holgorsen, and this will continue to be a conversation, but I've heard it come up a lot. What this contract deal is, what's going to happen in the future. There's a lot of unknowns and nobody knows. I don't even know how much the internal people know because they're still trying to finish out the season. But what we do know is Dana's getting paid $4.5 million from his buyout from his previous head coaching job. I don't know what we're paying him. We're paying him some contract or salary now, but basically
like $66,000 a week. Something like that.
It's something, not a whole lot, but basically that just gets subtracted out. A lot. So he's still making $4.5 million no matter what,
right?
With what he's doing. And if we hire him longer than that, like into next year, a 3-year contract, 2-year, whatever that may be, for something less than $4.5 million, and I'm not sure exactly how long it goes, his previous school will pay the difference for that amount, and he'll still make $4.5 million. However, I mean that's one scenario. The one that and I'm kind of surprised that people aren't talking about this or they're brushing it over. Like Dana Holgorsen is going to be a relative, very known candidate out there for a head coaching position for other schools, I think, if things go well, like we want them to. If things remain average and it doesn't get, this was the best it gets for the next 12 games, then yeah, we'll be able to retain him for something less than $4.5 million a year. And he'll be our offensive coordinator. But that's not going to mean we're probably going to be winning a whole lot of games. If this thing takes off, he's going to get looked at. It's not even like Marcus Satterfield, who hasn't proven himself anywhere. Dana's proven himself before. He's going to be a hot commodity. And when it comes to that, what in the world does that mean for what we're going to pay him as an OC if we want to keep him as an OC? When we've talked about this, brought this up before. If he's a head coach somewhere else and they're offering a shit ton of money, what if, I'm not saying this is a scenario. What if him and Raiola become a package deal because they mesh and they work so well together? And no matter the school that he goes to, they can say, hey, I'm just throwing out a random school. Alabama says in a year says, okay, DeBoer, nope, you're not going to work out. Hey, Dana, why don't you and Dylan come here and we're going to give you $60 million combined to come and play here because NIL continues to take off. Like, what if that happens? That's extreme, but it's out there. It's just the weird world we live in. It's a lot of conversation, a lot of ifs right now, but just keep that in mind of where this thing could go if it goes well, like we want it to. how we're going to work all that out. Now, I think Rule is the right guy to be in the position to work through that. I think his political sense and communication skills have been something that we've always talked about as being a strength of his. That will help. And the leadership I think we have in Nebraska is very strong, so that will also help. But it's coming if things go well. If it doesn't go well, then we're talking about something completely else. But if it goes well, that conversation's coming.
A lot has to happen before that conversation, though.
Correct. I just wanted to throw it out there now after this, when everybody's like, this is awesome. Dana, Dylan, all that, we're so excited for the future. I'm like, hold your horses. Like, there's a lot that could go on before we get there. Dylan once again looks like the face of this program for the next 4 years, and we're so excited, and it's going to be so awesome. Like, yeah, but with that comes a lot of other shit that we got to be aware of. So just take it day by day, enjoy it, live in the moment. I think that's what is most important here as fans. Enjoy being a fan when things go well, because it's something we have not done in a long time. Okay, defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. Yeah, it was a mediocre performance.
Our tackling, I did not think was great again.
Nope.
It was weird. Wisconsin did do a pretty damn good job of running the ball on us, and they just attacked Hartzog again, especially early. Our defense is and not falling apart, but it needs that re-life. And I'm not saying every game is going to be a stellar performance, but these games, as we know, putting together a complete game, obviously our offense did their job well enough that we won by 19. But it's not like Wisconsin's offense is very good, and we still gave up 25 points. We gave up
their number one receiver was out.
Correct. And Braden Locke, freshman quarterback that came in. And Braden Locke looked pretty solid. I mean,
he looked all right.
He looked solid. Like, it's not like he was 20 for 30 with almost 300 yards. They're running back, the one Toby Walker, the leader, he only averaged 4 yards a carry, but their backup came in, he averaged almost 8 yards a carry. And so it's up and down, right? But that when you win, you don't talk about it. We don't talk about how that probably, I mean, you could argue that maybe we tackled worse against UCLA, potentially, but like that maybe was our worst tackling performance of the year, and it came to we won by 19. But that kind of is how I felt watching that game. I don't know what you guys thought, but that was my opinion. And so you don't talk about it. You just brush over. You say, yeah, whatever. As coaches, I don't think they're doing that, and they shouldn't be. But it does. I mean, we need to play better on defense. Wisconsin missed some field goals. Like, thank God they did. That helped, but they moved the ball, and they did not have problems moving the ball on us. So that Ty Robinson, is and Rule. I think Rule gets emotional every time he talks about Ty Robinson, and rightfully so. You look back on the game, yeah, you're really happy that you won, but man, as a defensive unit, like, it wasn't great. It was not great. And people are going to say, oh, come on, I know we won. Well, yeah, we did. But if our goals and our expectations for the future are to get better, that defense has to get better than what they played on Saturday.
Well, I mean, we never trailed, but we could have trailed because the missed field goals weren't caused by defense. That was just – and Wisconsin did a lot to hurt themselves too. There were a couple times where they false start, or there's that one drive on offense where we got bailed out by a couple of calls that I don't necessarily – I was a Wisconsin fan. I definitely wouldn't agree with a couple of them, but there were some was like, okay, yeah, I can see it. But it was one of those things where we just couldn't quite put it away. And, like, we got an interception, we got a fumble. Both those plays were good, but they were killing us on the deep ball. And you're right, the run game, they're kind of killing us, which worries you going into Iowa because Iowa's absolutely running it down everyone's throats. They only threw it 14 times and whooped Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, they also, Ty Robinson was interviewed. It definitely felt like it was the last game of the year, how people were talking during the interview. And I understand it's the last home game, and I think that's what they're referencing. But it's like, okay, guys, like, you didn't play well, and we have another game. Like, I need you to not be so celebratory.
Yeah,
It definitely you definitely can't complain about it because you won, like you said, but Wisconsin could easily put up 44 points too. Like you said, they shot themselves in the foot the whole game. The defense, I think, has not been the same. So I think the defense has regressed this year. I think your offense is moving the other direction. That's what I think. But
I agree. I think that's pretty.
ever since the Illinois game, I don't think your defense looked the same.
Yeah, it has not gotten better from last year for sure, and I think there's a lot that goes into that. The 3-3-5 scheme. Last year it's something new that the Big Ten really hasn't seen. I think you got a little bit of a shock factor to the Big Ten, and now that you see it and what it's all about, there has been a little bit of regression, and I talked about that as one of the things at the beginning of the year, how important it was that we continued to adapt and be creative in our blitz packages and on our alignments and evolving with what we currently do and not get stagnant and accept where we're at as a defensive unit. I think we've done that to an extent because things have not improved. Now, when things are good, that's where marginal gains, little by little, become tougher because you are doing well. It is tougher.
I just think
they need to be better. They need to be better. Like that's
when you look at because going into the game, Wisconsin did not have an offensive coordinator. Their play caller was the tight end coach who has never called a play before. They're on their backup freshman quarterback. Their number one wide receiver is out. And we were missing Tommy Hill, who we could argue Sire Wright's been better than Tommy Hill has been all year. Like, we should have feasted, and we did not. I think if they don't miss those field goals, it's a totally different game because all of a sudden it's 13-14 probably going into half or 13-21 going into half. Probably don't have that fumble, that was not – the defense caused the fumble, but yeah, it was –
It felt like we were – I'm not going to say we were lucky, but we were
on the right side. Yeah,
right side of it. Yes. Call it the 50-50 balls and
yes,
for the first time in a while.
Yeah, but I'm the whole luck and the like balls that bounce our way, like it does. It feels like that. I still don't believe in the myths behind a lot of those things. And rules use the word snake bitten like 5 times in the last 2 weeks. Because I think that's the word and the feeling that Husker fans have had for several years.
But it honestly felt this game was like it's going our way today. Like,
yep,
that fumble, the missed field goals, they missed the field goal on the second attempt after they accidentally ran the clock down. Like,
correct. I do think that's still a product though of not that Wisconsin missing a field goal is a product of our players making plays. It's just a product though of everything with the program, the way the game's going, momentum, the everything about it. Like it's a product of the game itself, right? So, people call it bad luck or whatever. Like I guess it does. It felt like when the ball bounces off of USC's guy's hands and drills it in the helmet and then back in his hands for him to get a first down like last week. It does. It's like, oh my God, like that never happens.
Like, yeah, I also think us getting like the huge lead at half just allowed us just to like, I think the pressure was off, but it's like, okay, like we've got them in position. We don't need to worry about losing this bowl game thing as much. The fans, I think I wasn't at Memorial. It sounded pretty loud, but this was one of those games where if Wisconsin goes up 14-7, I think the stadium just dies.
Mm-hmm. It's huge. It was a huge game. Yeah. It was huge. And I found where we had it kind of on our importance rank list, and I guess where we ranked Wisconsin coming into the year. Not that really matters. Austin, you had them at 9. Dak, you had them at 5 because you were huge on Tyler Van Dyke. And I had them at 6. But when it came to like importance, like it's funny. We had the Wisconsin game like in line with UCLA, Rutgers, and USC, like, and Illinois. Like that was that group. We most important games we had were like UTEP, Indiana, Purdue, Colorado. Guess what? We won those games. Iowa's the other one that we have very high importance. So it's funny, like I'll say it, another one of those games. It's another one of those mid Big Ten tier teams that any given week, either team will beat the other team, and we were the better team today.
I just don't feel like we've had, especially like on the defense side, we just haven't had that game where it's like, oh, this guy dominated this game. Like there hasn't been a standout defensive player in a couple weeks.
Ever since the Cardinal game, I don't feel like that anyone's like can completely control the game on defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another. I was gonna say this. That's another fault about Rule too, is playing Tommy Hill. When he said this week that he was like 50 to 75%, and he just wanted to play him because he thought that'd be the best option. I don't. Looking back on that, if he's hurt, you can't play that guy. Like, and he finally sat him down.
It's because he was the best overall rated player on the. I get like not that the reason, but he was hyped up to be so good that we're like. You feel like you have an obligation to play him. Same reason with the Fedoni thing. There's an obligation to play him because he's this 5-star recruit. And then you bring in a random outsider, not Dana Holgorsen did nothing with Tommy Hill, but he just is like, no, this guy's not good. Like, why are we playing him?
It hurts your team. Like you
get
can't
blinded.
Blinded.
You get blinded by expectations that you have from whenever you recruited the guy or whenever you remember from the first few times he played or what they did last year, instead of actually taking a step back and evaluating everybody that's out there. You get blinded by it. That's why having fresh set of eyes on stuff constantly is very helpful with guys that you trust.
What is he hurt with? Is it turf toe or what?
Turf toe is what the original.
Turf toe, yeah, which that lingers in your corner. Like,
I don't know.
It lingers with the corner and stuff. Like you see all the time in the NFL. Like you can't, as a cornerback, you can't play a turf toe. Like, and they finally sat him down, and I guess defense looked better. I don't know. Like,
and defense did not. I wouldn't say defense looked better, but John Hull.
Thank you. That's my next point.
Yep.
Oh man, got a little streak going here.
8 in a row, I believe it is what I heard. It and it's not like he's squeezing things in or it's floating in. Like he's drilling these suckers. Like gosh, it's so funny where our mind's gone on our kicking game from like beginning of the year where it was at to where we were at the point everybody was, probably coaching staff included. We didn't want to kick an extra point. Like we were done with the kicking game completely. And now look where we're at now. That's very impressive. And shout out to John Hull for, physically, but very much mentally getting to the point where we're at now to where we trust our kicker again, and Husker fans do it. And it's glossed over because a little bit of it is, we're a Big Ten school. We should be able to make field goals that we should be able to make. Like it's part of it. But when the stuff that was going on beginning of the year, where we couldn't even get a snap and a hold down, it's very impressive where that's come along, and it's worth noting. It gives you a little bit of confidence again for kicking in the future.
Yeah.
There's no one on your team that's getting the transfer portal quicker than Alvano though.
I mean, I guess I'm going to say who cares, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened with John Hull though, because what game was it where he came in the first time and he just couldn't even make a 30-yarder. Like
Rule said it. He couldn't make one in practice early in the. He couldn't even make a field goal in practice. So and it's weird. Kicking is like
mind-blowing because it's like he got recruited to be a kicker. He's not like, but to be like, he went a whole practice without making any. It's like, wait, that's all this dude did. This is all he does. Like there's.
He said it's a lot of the yips and, I think how do you get yourself out of the yips in golf? You guys just got to keep practicing. You have to just keep going at it. And put in more time and time and time. If it's something you're truly passionate and that's your passion, like that's what John Hull did. That's your job. That's why you got recruited. You can do it, but you have to put in the time and effort to get there. So it's impressive. with what he was able to do. So with all of this,
what year is he?
A freshman this year.
John Old's a freshman. Okay, so yeah, you'll definitely bring him back again. Like, okay, that's good.
With all of this, the thing that gives me the most hope, and I think Iowa's going to tell us a lot, but Rule's best quote coming out of this game was that this is the first and last time that we will be celebrating 6 wins. I know we've talked about Rule guaranteeing and saying things before. I think that's not being cocky. That's just basically laying it out that we're going to celebrate this. We're going to enjoy it.
We're going to enjoy it because it's been hard to get here, but now we're here.
We're here, and we shouldn't have to do this again. Like, celebrating this, we need to, but at the same time, it's kind of shitty that we're celebrating getting to a bowl game. Like, it just sucks. That's where we're at as a program, and we don't ever want to be here again. So let's continue to build on it. Like, that's the message that line. It's a one sentence, but it's very powerful in everything that it means for how everybody, I guess, should be thinking about it and enjoying it. They do. There's fans out there that think it's ridiculous that we storm the field. That shouldn't even have been questioned. And it's stupid that we're celebrating it. Like, why is our expectation that it is to make a bowl game? Why is that our goal now? Well,
that's what it is.
Well, it's where we're at. What do you want to be? Like, so with Scott Frost, I mean, there were times that I wanted us to lose so that he would get fired and everybody would get to that point, right? We're not there with the Rule. Nobody is. I don't think. Like, there's questions, but nobody was like, I hope we lose so Rule can get the hell out of here. Like, that wasn't the vibe yet, but it was getting there. This just basically let people move back to wherever they want to be on the spectrum of the hope and the potential for the football program under Rule's tenure. And here we are. So I think that was a very, very powerful line. It means a lot. It's been floating around a lot. I think that it's true to where we're at right now. Anything else specific about the game? Because I didn't tell you we're going to do this next little topic, but it's worth doing based on that Rule comment. So since we're enjoying it and we're going to love it, we're going to be happy with it. Let's talk bowl games. Let's talk locations. Let's talk.
Where's Husker going in December and January this year?
I unfortunately, it's basketball.
There's one opponent.
I won't be going.
There's one opponent Hunter will go to.
There's one that I will heavily consider. I'm not going to say will, but we'll have a lot more sway as if we have a battle of Dak and Hunter, OU, Nebraska. So here's what we've heard, and this has been out there a lot now. Bowl projections have come and gone here the last several weeks, and we've been in it, guaranteed in it when we were 5-1, and then now the last couple of weeks we've been projected not to make it. But here is, and this is from College Football News. Background, I guess a lot of people probably know this. Bowl games are tied to conferences, and basically the bowl games get to draft and they get a pick, and there's an order to how it goes. And as long as you're bowl eligible, you're eligible to be there. There's conference affiliations. However, this year is weird because the 4 former Pac-12 teams, Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington, are also eligible for the former Pac-12 bowl ties and affiliations, which were contracted in and remained in contract through this year. So there's another element that those teams, which Oregon obviously is bowl eligible, they're probably going to the playoffs, so that nixes them. But Washington, USC, and UCLA, who are all teetering right around that bowl eligibility mark, and maybe a couple of them are. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, UCLA's done, right?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look at their.
So, not that that's the end all be all of the conversation here, but those teams all can make. But there's 5 other bowls that they could fall into, so they're eligible to get drafted in those. I don't know how that order goes, but anyways, playoffs obviously come first. There's obviously a guaranteed Big Ten team to make the playoffs. Probably expecting 2 or 3 teams. I doubt that we get to 4 in the Big Ten. I think that would be a push or a stretch to get 4 in this year, but we're probably thinking.
I don't know.
It could. You're right.
One.
Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State. I mean, that would be your 4.
Yeah.
that we're talking about that all maybe could get in. But if one of those don't, I guess I would say they're probably going to be the first pick. The first pick here is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, and that is going to be against an SEC team. I would guess that if one of those teams don't get in, like I said, that's where they're going. The next one is the ReliaQuest Bowl, also versus an SEC team. That one is played in. Oh boy,
I'm trying to think where that is.
I don't know where that's at. I was trying to find location. The site doesn't have it. But it's on December 31st. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is the next one that gets to pick. This is one that we've seen. Some people have. That one's in Carolinas.
ReliaQuest is in Tampa.
Is in Tampa. Okay, so there's a Tampa Bowl. That would be like, I don't know. That'd be ambitious, but I think the important thing to talk about here, and they talked about it a little bit on the post-game show, because of the way our fans travel, and especially if we beat Iowa and our momentum's rolling, our like win total value and versus it being 6 or 7 it's inflated by about 1.5. We're viewed as like a 7, 8 win, 9 win team to these bowl pickers because of how we're going to travel and generate revenue for these bowl games. So ReliaQuest Bowl versus SEC team, that one's in the Carolinas. Duke's Mayo. No, sorry, that one's in Tampa. Duke's Mayo Bowl is the one against an ACC team in the Carolinas. The Music City Bowl, that one's in Nashville. That's also an SEC opponent. I think the general consensus is we're going to be in one of those 3.
Yeah, as I say, that's probably the end of the line, and we get picked before it because that was 7 bowls, correct? 6 bowls you listed off.
There's that's 4.
That's 4
I listed off there. So just a look at who's bowl eligible right now in the Big Ten. Let's throw the scenario out there that those 4 get in. I mean, here's your options right now, and there's quite a few. So I mean, USC's bowl eligible now, and so is Washington. So those are 2 teams that potentially, and I would guess, are probably going to fall in those Pac-12 bowls. Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Rutgers are all bowl eligible right now. There's several. So
and they'll pick Nebraska over those guys.
We'll see. Like I mean, Illinois obviously is ranked. They're 8-3 as well. But when you're picking this bowl game, are you saying, okay, well, Illinois beat Nebraska, so Illinois is better than Nebraska, and we want the better team, so we want Illinois to come to Tampa because that makes sense. I don't think they think about it that way. I think people can get upset about it, but there's bowl games are independent. It's not like NCAA tournament seeding. They're thinking about the revenue and the matchup and who they play. I don't think when you look at a matchup that Illinois is any more intriguing to play a LSU than Nebraska. LSU, putting it that way. So I do think it's going to be probably one of those 4. It's not like they rank the teams, and I don't think that's how that works. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But the Pinstripe Bowl in New York, Guaranteed Rate Bowl, I have no idea where that's at. That's against a Big 12 team. That'd be the one that maybe we could play against K-State, which would be kind of fun. And then the last one is the Game Above Sports Bowl. Couldn't tell you. Against a MAC school. That has
you don't want to go there.
That has Rutgers' name written all over it.
Or Minnesota. Like they played in that bowl game the last 10 years.
The Great Bowl is in Arizona.
Okay. So anyways, those are our options of where we could go. I got my Nebraska or Huskers tickets announcement on how to apply for tickets and get those. Again, I don't think I'll be able to go, but it's fun. We've never done this before on the podcast since we started and looked at where all these bowl games are and what time they are and who it could be against. I do think like opponents that would be fun to play. I think Oklahoma would be fun. And that could be a potential matchup. A lot of these are SEC schools, ACC. I think we're going to get paired with somebody that we're probably going to be an underdog against. I'm just going to say.
Mizzou would be good. Mizzou would be cool.
See, that's the one I think they're going to play is Mizzou. I would love for Nebraska, Oklahoma, but I think it'll be Missouri.
It could be, and I maybe that one we could be favored in. I just think we're probably going to be an underdog. just because of us getting inflated a little bit because of our fans. But that makes the opportunity that much greater. Show what we can do with this extra practice time. And Rule said it. We missed out on it. It was over 100 practices in the last 8 years. Like, you don't think that matters?
Practice? We're talking about practice? Yeah. So, yeah, good to be bowling. And then men's basketball absolutely locked down Creighton amazingly. I apologize to my Huskers. I had zero faith in you as a basketball program.
You guys were all wearing blue on Friday and red Saturday.
I was not wearing blue on Friday.
Okay. So, yeah, let's move here on to basketball. My hatred for Creighton, I haven't thought myself to really hate Creighton that much, but the more and more I watch every year, it increases.
They're
and
posers, man.
They're fans.
What Hoiberg said last week about the fans and about Creighton. Like, I was like, I listened to that comment. I'm like, that was awesome, great. Like, I kind of laughed, but then I started thinking about it, and then I watched that game. And then we kicked their ass, and I watched the fans, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, these fans are like, remember, these are Husker football fans. Like, a lot of them are, not all of them. There's some Iowa fans that are great fans. There's more Iowa fans than people probably think in Omaha. But you start thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? All these fans, and I've talked about it a lot on this podcast, and I think the fans are a big problem of where we're at Husker football. I think it is. I think our fans and everything that goes with it put expectations, pressure, unrealistic hype on these players, and therefore this downward spiral. And I'll say it, let's go back to why the hell did we ever get away from being this national title contender? Well, the fans got bored. We got bored of winning back in the early 2000s. We got bored because we were so good. And so we decided to change everything up, and fans went nuts when Callahan came here and changed everything up, which is, guess what? Wisconsin just is doing right now. So our fans, I think, are a big part of the problem. But I started to think more about it. I'm like, it's the Creighton fans. It's the Jayskers that are the problem. It's the ones that, and I'm generalizing this. Not everybody falls into this bucket. I'm not calling out.
I like this take. No, just dig in. Let's hear it.
I'm passionate. Like, I went, and I'm going to keep, maybe I won't, but we'll see. Creighton are, and I'm not saying all white collar people are bad people, but they're the white collar. Everything's given to me. I don't want to work hard. I look at Stephen Ashworth. I'm like, yep, that's you. I look at Kalkbrenner. I'm like, yep, that's you. The ones that complain, they make excuses. I watch that, and you see it all. They don't want to put in the extra. They don't want to be determined. I watched that, and I was thinking, this is white collar versus blue collar. This is big town versus small town. Even though Lincoln's not, I mean, Lincoln's our second biggest city in Nebraska, but it's the Creighton fans that drink the Kool-Aid and do all the stupid hoorah expectations of, and then when it comes to a game, they pout and they don't like to cheer loud, and they just get all, they think they're all on. I'll say it. They have all the money, so they think they can just throw the money around. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm generalizing. But I think those are the fans. They're the problem. They're the ones that are hurting Husker football. And it was hitting me all at once watching, and I'm like, God, I want to beat them. So, and so when we won Friday night, it was like, oh, it was so good. I have not hated Creighton really, but now I kind of do. Like, I started realizing watching it, and I'm going to keep the blue and the red colors and the political spectrum off of the podcast, but that also hit home with me. It just, a lot of it just was very real to why this fan opinion that I have, who they are, the type of people that I know fall into that category in my certain friend circle. It's the Jayskers. They're the problem. And so after that game got over, I'm like, stay up in Omaha. Don't come down to the game. Keep your blue on. Go cry a hole on Saturday. And I hope you do that and stay away from the stadium. I don't want you here. That's my Jaysker take. I think they're the problem. Wow. And I wanted to make sure that's clear. And it's great beating you. It's great to keep the state red. It is. Oh man, I hit home, and I right now I'm stuck on that take. I'm like, I'm so tunnel visioned on it. And I'm sorry if you listen to this and you're a J-sker, but it's the truth right now in my mind.
Gosh, it feels good. I also didn't. I've never liked the Blue Jays. I'll root for them in the tournament when Nebraska is not there because it's like, well, this is what we got.
And I'm not anymore. I kind of did a little bit,
but I'm not devastated with it. It's like, yeah, if Creighton could advance, that'd be cool. But I'm not watching their games.
McDermott, don't like the guy.
We freaking locked down Kalkbrenner. 0 for 1 for field goal. And our team is small. Like, I mean, we're not.
Braxton Mia going up against him and us just fouling the crap. And we had 3 guys in foul trouble against him.
Yeah, we were just
and he was just bitching the whole time.
He was
that's
whining. I'm like, that's why all this stuff came out. I'm like, we have these blue collar, like we have this guy with a mullet from North Dakota State coming out and just drilling you, and all you're gonna do is whine as we're kicking your ass. I'm like, this is what this is all about. I love it.
Like, we got up big somehow. Like, it wasn't like we did anything incredible. It's just on defense we were able to keep them out of their flow, and Kalkbrenner is kind of their offense. And then we just got this big lead, and sure, Creighton did chip into it a little bit. I think they pulled it within 8. Maybe
I don't think it got below 9 ever.
Okay.
Because during the game when it got to 9, we're like, oh boy, here we go.
But then it's just like, no, we're stepping on your freaking throat. Like,
we outcoached the crap out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Hoiberg 6-8 against ranked opponents the last 2 years, right? That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah,
for never being ranked.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, it's so impressive, and I'll continue to give this guy praise because I love watching him when I go to games and then on TV. Nate Lenzer is a damn good defensive coach. He's the one that sits on the end of the bench. He's always in the moment, always energetic. He knows exactly what he wants with his identity of his system, and he knows how to coach it. I'll be honest, it's different than how I think as a basketball coach defensively. Our Nebraska defense is very schematic. Their scout obviously involved, a lot of it, but it's very, very schematic based. I'm going to run this, and I'm going to make it tough for you to score on it versus, I guess how I like to think is I'm going to take away what your players do, and we're going to adjust what we do to make sure that these people aren't able to beat us. Obviously, every different level, it's different. I think the higher up you get, the more schematic-based type defenses work, and he's doing a tremendous job. What I loved about the way we guarded Kalkbrenner and their stats leading up to the game, and God, I'm so glad we don't ever play him again because I hate watching him.
He's worse Zach Edey.
We've held them. I can't remember the stats. It was like 12, 8, and 11 or something the last 3 years. Like basically held him in check based on what he averages the past few years. We guarded him completely different this year than we have those 3 years. Think about that from a coach's perspective. You stopped this guy doing what you know how to do. Well, last year when Lenzer was here, and I think maybe the year before that, doing it a certain way. This year, you come in with a different approach to stop him. But guess what? It worked the best of all of them.
Yeah.
And because that approach this year, and just to specify what it was, last year we did a lot of sitting on the high side behind, and it worked well against Edey too. And when Kalkbrenner caught it, we automatically doubled and swarmed him. This year, we just fronted the crap out of him, and then backside had a guy sitting right there. They couldn't even get the ball into him. So what did that do? It forced him to come outside, and now they had to run some other player to give him the ball, and they still couldn't give him the ball. And then when he did get the ball, we fouled the crap out of him, made him go to the free throw line, and he missed free throws. And he's normally a good free thrower. Oh, it was just so good.
And he played. He played 39 minutes and had 1 field goal attempt.
So good.
One.
So good.
Oh my gosh!
Like you said, they couldn't even get the ball to him. Like
no. And so then when you're as an offense, when you're going against that, and then you go, we can't get the ball. I guess we got to start shooting threes. Well, guess what? They weren't making them early on, which
right.
I'll say this last year, different story. They shot the crap out of it against us, and they ran out of the gym. This year, they didn't. Well, okay, then you go, we're not shooting it well. Okay, well, we got to get the ball inside, but we can't. So I guess we got to keep shooting it. It's so hard, then you just get so mentally out of it from what Creighton was. And it was so awesome to watch because you could tell McDermott was like, I don't know what to do. Like it's like we're done. it was awesome. It was so fun to watch. And I kept saying, like, there's no way we're going to somehow blow this. We're going to blow this.
So too. Yeah. We did have a couple scoring droughts. We had 2 3+ minute scoring droughts.
Yep.
Like, that's scary. That's not going to work against every team, but we luckily had a big enough lead.
Nebraska was on like at one point like an 11-0 run for like 7 minutes, which is nuts. Like,
Creighton had 9 points with like 7 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah,
right.
Our
offense did not win us that game.
The defensive performance was nuts. That was someone tweeted it was probably the best they've ever saw. It was. Now 2 years ago, it was the same thing though.
It was on offense. We found ourselves though. I will say, and while it wasn't our greatest offensive game, I think we found some things that you can build off of, like Bryce Williams in his mid-range game. Like Creighton was going to give that to him early on, coming up also. And Bryce did a tremendous job taking advantage of it. Jawan Gary was actually then able to play off of, and I'm going to say it, Connor Essegian, who they said it on the radio, they said it on TV. It got a little K-State roll in him. He came off a couple of screens, and it has another good mid-range game too. You get guys like that can do that. All of a sudden, Jawan Gary gets driving lanes. They are able then to isolate Jawan Gary on people because they get switches, because guys are threats on the court to score. Now, I don't know our big man. I'm not sure how that's going to work. We had, I don't know if you guys watch close enough, we had Cale Jacobson playing our 5-man at one spot in the first half.
Yeah, like those are in foul trouble, though.
We were in foul trouble, but like that's what I'm saying. It's kind of amazing that we can just plug and chug a guy like that in, and it work. Be fine. Like he was guarding Kalkbrenner. this guy out of Ashland. Like, so it was awesome. I mean, it fired me up. It was awesome.
Yeah, we didn't lose the rebounding battle. They had a set. Like, I just could not believe we were pickpocketing them. They could not take care of the ball. Like, what a way to start the weekend.
It was great.
Good.
I sent the first round stuff, tournament locations out. Like, where are we going? Like, that's the one thing I'm going to those no matter what. Like, until we win one of these dang things. But it does. It gave you hope again. Obviously, we didn't beat St. Mary's.
But that was a close game.
It was close. But this is definitely it's a quad 1 win, and it will be the rest of the year, assuming Creighton plays well. We'll make it to conference play. Our non-conference schedule is one now that we have to take advantage of from here now until we start to conference play against teams that we should be able to beat. There's a couple of them that have been playing well, but we can't lay an egg and lose one of those. And
you also
been ugly.
There's one more thing you found during that game and that's Goggles can't play another second of the season.
I disagree. I do disagree with that.
Is that Buchan Gel? Is that who you're referring to?
No, Griffiths.
Gavin Griffiths.
Oh, Gavin Griffiths.
He had a really bad turnover.
He didn't play the week after it.
Really bad, and never went back in. I think Gavin Griffiths can still shoot the crap out of the ball. I think he didn't really get a chance to come back in because Essegian was playing well. Like he came in, and those two guys are our knockdown shooters. And because we couldn't afford to take Connor off the court, like Gavin didn't get a chance to really come back in and redeem himself. He's still going to play. I still think he can shoot it. He has not shot it great so far through 5 games, but I still think it's going to be okay for him. But we have pieces. Like we're deep with a bunch of average players, and if a couple of these average players can at least get to a little bit like just playmaker type people, then we're going to be in a good spot. With the way that we're built from a physical standpoint too this year, and we're going to be okay going into conference play and playing against some of these Big Ten teams who, by the way, the Big Ten conference, like,
looks a little down.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
It's not great.
Rutgers just lost last night. Purdue maybe is still pretty decent and good. I think Matt Painter still does a really damn good job there. But there's gonna be a lot of opportunities for us to get to our goals and what we want to accomplish this year from a basketball team perspective. There's a lot going on, like a lot of good positive momentum.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we break the bowl game streak this year. Maybe it's the year.
It could be. It wouldn't be breaking a streak, though. It'd be starting something new
Started
of
something
winning the
new.
tournament game.
High School Musical up in here. Started something new.
And
Volleyball.
then I was gonna say, and then
Talking. Woo!
Wisconsin. I don't like them either. Not as much as I don't like Creighton, but yeah, we beat them, swept them at home. Not only swept them, but kicked their ass in all 3 sets. Swept them.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome. Dak, you did not watch that game, but
No, I didn't.
pretty cool.
I had another game I was watching.
Yeah. We already talked about that.
We said we weren't bringing that back up. Here's my scare with the volleyball team. Like, I feel like they're playing so well right now that we're
It
not
can
even
only
getting
work.
and
Yeah.
like it's like if we get challenged, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, we're not very good. We're kicking everybody's ass right now. Like,
Yes. We're torching everyone.
we play Penn State on Friday. That'll be probably one of the toughest challenges. But Wisconsin's a team that's had our number in volleyball in recent years, and we swept them back like twice this year, on the road and at home.
We have one loss. I expect, barring the Penn State game going south, we're gonna get a number 1 seed. We should be number 1 overall. I don't know why we're not number 1 overall. Pitt has one loss, and they lost to the same team we did, but we have better wins if you ask me. But yeah, I also worry about that where we're going to get to the tournament and we just haven't played anyone challenging enough, and we're going to get one of those games kind of like the SMU game where someone just serves us out of the gym, basically. I mean, that's how we lost the championship last year to Texas, and that's how we lost to SMU earlier this year. Their serving just absolutely killed us, but we'll see.
I mean, there's definitely some good volleyball teams, right? Like, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely.
And
good. Louisville's a good.
But there's no undefeated teams this year.
Correct.
So maybe it's a little more diluted, just like every other college sport is now. But Penn State's ranked 4. Creighton's actually ranked 5. Yep. Purdue's obviously still doing well, but it's like Purdue. We kill every time we play them. SMU, the team that's won these games, they're still 21-6. Like Texas, who defending national champs, they're 15-6 this year. It's just funny. There's a lot of good teams, and not saying that we're not the best, but there's a lot of good teams out there still that have a lot of losses that are very easily going to be able to get overlooked. And this team, though, just playing so well, it's like no team's even on our level. And maybe the whole, like, look at our recruiting classes the past few years, and maybe we are just that much more talented. And
it's just all coming together now.
We should just kick everybody's butt every game. Like, we should just do that.
Yeah.
Great. I love it. What a weekend.
I think Colorado loses to Kansas. Oh,
yep.
Oh, it's awesome. Oh, it's great.
What a weekend. Just the freaking boards just being like, Colorado fans being like, yeah, you guys kicked our ass, but then we're going to go to the playoffs and you aren't. I don't think so, man.
Psych. It's good weekend. It was one of the more enjoyable Sundays waking up. I prepping for the podcast and researching and thinking, like, they were happy, fun thoughts. So very good Sunday, very good weekend.
Yeah.
For
Husker Sports. Yeah. This is also rare because I actually saw all of it. Like, it wasn't like like I heard this. I was like, I actually participated in all of it.
Yeah. That's the best part of it. Yeah, you can watch and enjoy every single step of it from the start of Friday through today.
Saturday. Yep. I did poorly in my beer mile, but that was Saturday morning. So
Dak, could you beat Austin in a beer mile?
No.
Probably. The drinking, no. I'm too slow on the drinking. It's not the running. It's how quickly
you
drink.
You don't even know, Austin. I am for sure the slowest drinker you know.
Okay. Well, maybe not. I can't burp, so I can't chug beer that well.
We might have to do this podcast
There you go.
Competition.
I'm in.
You can sum it up with what a weekend. That was it.
What a weekend. What a weekend, Dak says. All right, we'll be back Wednesday. Thanksgiving coming up, so we'll get our midweek episode, Iowa pregame episode out. and we no longer have to be praying for a bowl game, but we need to keep seeing progress.
Gotta beat Iowa.
Go Big Red.
GBR.
Boomer Sooner.
And
What? Skull?
no, and say Go Big Red. You're
Go
asking.
Big Red.
Thank you.
Go Big Red.
There we go.